Moderator for this conversation, Lawrence Bush, who you met before. We're really excited to have here, of course, from our local zoo, Craig Piper. Craig, thank you for being here. And give a huge welcome to Dr. Sami. Over to you, Lawrence.
It's a very beautiful film with many, many layers of feeling and emotion.
You need to use the microphone also for recording purposes.
Are these on? Yes. When I referenced the Shalom Aleichem story, Pity for Living Creatures, it's all about a young boy who is constantly beaten up for standing up for vulnerable animals. And this is the young boy grown up who has done this remarkable work. So I wanted to begin just by asking you, since the conclusion of this film, since you couldn't go to Budapest, I think you told me 4 years ago, can you tell me and tell them some of the developments at the zoo and what the candidacy for membership has meant to the Qalqilia Zoo?
In the beginning, thank you for your coming and watching the film. There's a lot of changes happened after this, what you saw. And I asked the director of the movie if he can make part 2 to complete the story. For us, for last 4 years, we went to another, we joined with the conferences for IASA. Only Budapest was the first problem because it was the first conference for us. So the Budapest closed the way, then we opened in another site, another way, another places. It was nice till now, and I think you know, this what you saw, Sofika from IASA now, it was last year for her. I saw her last month in conference in Emen in Netherlands. And we said goodbye. It was sad moments for me. Sorry to say that. Because she's a very good woman and she was with me in the movie and in our way, in our way in yes, you understand what I mean. We change a lot in the zoo. I hope you will see in the future, maybe if there's another film completely changed, and we follow the IASA rules, and we have now a good zoo.
Are you still waiting for a giraffe?
This is important. We still don't have giraffes. But some people donate giraffes 1 month ago when we was in conference in Emen, and they screening the film there. There was about 48 countries from Europe and 800 people in this conference. They saw the film, and one man from French, he donated 5 giraffes, male giraffes, and one from Poland, he gave 1 female. But there is still stupid people who destroy dreams. Because some people, they ask, if you get these giraffes, where you will put it? This is the right question, because we need place for the giraffes. You saw the zoo, it's not big. So we will, now we changed a lot inside the zoo to hold these giraffes or to take these giraffes and keep it for the zoo. But I don't think we can keep all these giraffes inside the zoo. It's a big number.
So when they put the glass up on the cage of the baboons, right?
Yeah.
the way the film is constructed, we see that you no longer can put your fingers in and have the intimacy with those animals. And I'm just curious if you can share, they observe that you're a collector at the beginning trying to build a zoo. There's some change in your own relationship to it because of the changes, like that one, the glass instead of being able to reach through. How has that been for you?
No. These baboons, I still go inside the cage and play with them. And sometimes when I forget, sometimes when I'm walking across the gate and forget to say good morning to the monkeys, they're angry and they start to jump inside. So I have to back and say good morning, how are you, and start to play with them. And
so also, one of the mysteries of the movie is each time we see you walking through the street, you're carrying a little animal in a suitcase. Tell us a little about that.
Yeah. I don't have car, so I have to walk about 10 minutes or 7 minutes from my house to the zoo. Then if I hold the open cage, all Qalqilia will follow me because they want to see the monkeys. So I use the handbag with the special holes. I design it so the monkey will rest. Also, this monkey was strange because, when I keep the monkey inside the handbag, they directly sleeping. So I go to home without any problems. But this monkey, I don't know, maybe he knows there is a camera and he want to come out. So he open and come out. Actually, I take these monkeys to my house for 4 months, and I'm waiting. There is one pregnant now because this female tried to kill the baby when it's born. So directly I give the anesthesia. Then I take the baby from it, 1 hour old, not 1 day, because if I keep 1 day, it will kill the baby. Then I give very expensive milk, the bottle for the milk. And so the mayor sometimes angry from me because he said, we did not use it for our kids. Why you use it for monkeys? The expensive milk. So for me, I give everything good for the monkeys. My daughter I was shouting there and do your work. She loves these animals and she care a lot for them. She give them milk, she give bathing, and what you saw there. Also my wife, she sometimes was angry when I start to bring monkeys to house because nobody bring monkeys to house. Then I explain why we bring these monkeys, because they have no mother, so I need our care. Now she accepts and we have no problem. So thank you.
Yeah. So one of the very powerful elements of this film is that we're seeing all of these images of occupation, and we're seeing within that the zoo dependent upon human beings, upon you, and being affected as you are by that occupation. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people have very mixed feelings about zoos, and I'd like to speak to you both as professional zookeepers, or hear from you about how you deal with that ambivalence. Some people see zoos as prisons for animals. Others understand it as kind of the roadblock to extinction for animals. And I'd like you to speak to your own feelings about this.
Okay. The situation is not stable. Sometimes there is things wrong. Sometimes it's peace. Like I give you example, during Intifada, I think you know the meaning of Intifada. Okay. There was very bad situation. It was bad for me if I want to move from my house to the zoo. It's when curve view was tanks in the roads. And sometimes I use the ambulance because it's the only cars which we can move in the streets when curfew. So I use the ambulance to go to the zoo. Sometimes I cannot back, not easy to back home. When I want to feed the animals, there was no people working there. Sometimes I cut some leaves and give it for the monkeys. You know, I did my best for this. Now we can care more. Still, we have no problem now. I mean, at this time. So still people working and animals happy too. This is the point.
So one, I want to thank you all for coming as well tonight, and it's a real honor to meet you, Dr. Sami, and to enjoy the film with you. There's so many differences between us, but so many things are the same. My wife also is unhappy when animals come home at times, but has grown to love that over time. There's so many similarities. But, you know, I think there are a few things. As you mentioned, there are people who are ambivalent about zoos, and I think I surprise people sometimes when I explain, so am I. My view is if we don't have a higher conservation purpose to the work we do, then there's no way we can justify what we're doing. You know, so in our organization, many of you know the Wildlife Conservation Society, and our parks here in New York, the Bronx Zoo, Central Park, Queens Zoo, Prospect Park Zoo, and New York Aquarium. But how many of you know that we actually have more staff around the world doing conservation work than we have here in New York? We have offices in 60 countries. And to give you a frame of reference, you've been seeing tonight's story of IAZA, which is largely our European counterparts in zoos and aquariums. In the Americas, largely, we have another association called the Association of Zoos and Aquariums. We have a similar accreditation process. To give you a sense of perspective, there are 3,000 institutions in the United States that have U.S. Department of Agriculture licenses to house exotic wildlife. Only 240 of those institutions meet the accreditation standards of the Association of Zoos and Aquariums. And IAZA is similar in Europe and Africa and other parts of the world, that they're the selective organizations that have a commitment to animal welfare. You saw that in the film. Dr. Sami is committed 24 hours, 7 days a week to those animals. Those are the first and highest priority to him. And it's clear to me the second part of your work is education.
Yes.
And that's a critical thing that we do. My hope is that people that visit our parks fall in love with wildlife. It's hearts first, because if we want to teach the more complicated things about conservation, you have to care. So caring comes first. It's empathy that is our strength, and minds follow if we can build upon that. But that conservation purpose has to be there. So I hope you're proud to know that last year the Wildlife Conservation Society invested $110 million in field conservation around the world. And collectively, our AZA colleagues, those 240 institutions, invested $250 million a year. So yes, we're the big dogs. We're a significant part of that, but our percentage of the overall has gone down over the years because others are stepping up and investing more. So think about that. In 4 years, that's $1 billion being invested in conservation of species around the world. That's our purpose, and the IAZA zoos feel the same way. It's a way that we can protect those species we're fortunate enough to share this planet with, and I hope that we can have our children and grandchildren share the planet with as well.
So it's almost as if the zoos are simply the showcases to stir people's caring. The larger work is conservation.
That's part of it, but we're also doing important conservation work within the institutions. So, you know, in some cases, we actually are reproducing species that we're introducing into the wild if safe habitat can be developed. So we've done that with a number of species, and other zoos have as well. In some cases, there isn't safe habitat. And so we're creating the insurance policy. I say we want to invest in multiple conservation baskets. Think of this. When I started my zoo career 30-some years ago, there were 1.5 million African elephants in Africa. Today, there are about 600,000 at most, maybe less. There were 100,000 Asian elephants in the wild when I started my career. Today, there are 30,000. That's just in a blink of an eye during my career, not my lifetime, my career.
Yeah.
If we don't do something and invest in multiple conservation baskets, they won't be around for our children's lifetimes or their work careers. And so that's the line in the sand that we want to draw in the conservation community, is that we need to invest in multiple conservation baskets. Yes, we need to be in the field working in country where these animals come from to provide protection for them, but it's also valid to have a sustainable, healthy population of animals in our care as an insurance policy for the future.
Other questions, comments out there? Yeah, I'm not going to try to get the mic to you.
I'll pass the mic to, we got mic.
I think before questions, I want to add something.
Please.
I just wanted to point out that Science Times today has...
One second, sir, 1 second.
I want to add something before we start questions. Now, what you saw the clinic, which have the monkey with sick monkey, the monkey is good now. And now it is, I changed it to Palestinian Wildlife Medical Center. Now it become Palestinian Wild Medical Center. I receive a lot of animals and birds from wild, and we treat, then release again to nature. And before 4 months ago, new educational center I built in the zoo. I am not only vet, I am taxidermist too. So that's also my work in the museum in the zoo. There is 3 museums. The word which I don't know, mostly the distinct. Distinct, yeah, okay. I still cannot remember this word. By the way, this museum is the first museum in all Palestine, and it took about 7 years to prepare it. This is my job too in the zoo. It's a start.
I'm going to take a question right here. Then you're next.
Dr. Sami,
You're next.
oh, sorry.
I just wanted to point out there's some good news in the Science Times today. All medical experiments on chimpanzees have ceased, and they're moving to chimpanzee retirement homes.
That's great news.
Dr. Sami, is this a mic working? Yeah. I found this film very moving, and I think you're a real hero. It's clear that you've dedicated your life to this cause, and I hope that your love for the animals has been passed on to people in Qalqilia. I wanted to ask you whether, I have a number of questions because I too work at the Bronx Zoo, and perhaps afterwards we can have some more questions. But I'm wondering why you keep 8 lions in such a small enclosure. Wouldn't it be better off if you had fewer lions? And also, I'm wondering what sort of educational programs do you have for the children? It's obvious that there's a lot of ignorance there, and I would think it's very important task of the zoo to try to educate as well as to care for the animals. So I wonder if you could answer those 2 questions for me.
Okay, what you saw, it was before 4 years ago. Now we have 2 lions, 2 males, king and prince. We give name for each animal. And now we are planning to make the place more bigger. We have new design. We have designer from Holland. He draw everything, and he advised how many lions need inside this enclosure. So we are working with the professional people now. Before, from our mind, the work. So we still, in 2018, we will build the new houses for the lions. It will be only just male and female. We will remove out these 2 males. Not 8 males inside the area.
What sort of educational programs do you have for school children in particular?
Yes, we have educational classroom educational classroom inside the educational center. And I prepare like a small museum inside the educational center, samples like stuffed animals, stuffed or bones or embryos. And I visit every year some schools and they give lectures about wildlife in Palestine. So they invited me maybe after when I back home. Next week I have one lecture in one school. The problem, I'm working alone. Nobody can understand what I want. But I will do my best to get one team, because this is very hard work. My wife wants to see me sometimes and all the time outside. So I hope I will find team to cover all the work, and it will be nice work. I mean, and enough work.
There's another question up on top.
Thank you. Wonderful film. It's wonderful to see your love and passion. It came across very clearly with that. So congratulations. The question is a little bit, you mentioned it, about how we've lost species just in the blink of an eye. And I give money, I go to fundraisers, there's millions and millions of dollars, but things just seem to be getting worse. And all this money in different organizations, I mean, dozens and dozens of them, and things just seem to be getting worse. What do you think can be done better? I mean, I always thought that a lot of this money poaching goes to terrorism organizations and criminal organizations. I don't know, you can consider an act of terrorism and you can use those resources, but why is it not working? I mean, my lifetime, there might have been any elephants. So what are your just thoughts off the top of your head on it?
It can be daunting at times. I say that those of us who work in this arena are eternal optimists, and I will continue to be that way, because there are a number of things that are working. So, for example, WCS has a long history with working with tigers around the world and conservation of tigers. And so some of the studies we're showing are that in all the areas where we are working, tiger populations are stable. So when the effort is there on the ground to provide protections, to provide support to communities and things, because a lot of our work is how do you help people to help animals? It's how do you solve those human-animal conflicts and make room for both? If it's only do this for the animals, that's not going to work. So we do find that efforts do work, but it's just we're not impacting enough of the big landscapes in time. The issues, as you say, are complicated and varied. You know, when people hear the word poacher, they often think, oh, bad person doing terrible things. Well, the vast majority of poachers are in bad situations. They're trying to feed their families. You know, they're trying to deal with animals raiding their crops. So if you can try to solve those things, you can make some successes. So in a lot of cases, in areas where in some cases, countries have contracted with us to manage their national parks, and we actually have anti-poaching patrols and people out doing surveillance. We've often hired ex-poachers to be surveillance people because they have the expertise and the pride that you see in them when they switch from using the wildlife to preserving the wildlife, but making a good income to feed their families is amazing. It's so heartening to see that experience. You made the comment that some of it is now being more tied to criminal networks. You're right, that's part of it. So one of the things is we can't just invest in protected reserves. We have to do things to also stop the demand. So for example, with elephants, you know, until a couple years ago, it was still legal to trade in ivory here in New York. You know, and people will always say, oh, in China, there's so much going on with ivory sales, and that's true, but the second largest nation trafficking in ivory was the United States. So we said, we have to change that. You know, elephants are disappearing in Africa at the rate of 96 a day. So we made it very tangible. We created a program called 96 Elephants, which is now operating nationally, and we provide support to colleagues around the world. And part of that effort is how do you stop the demand? Because that's a key piece of it, as well as protecting the animals in safe areas. And, we're very pleased that New York, New Jersey, Washington State, a number of other states have now passed laws making it illegal to sell ivory. That's a step. We need a federal law. We don't have that yet. So, I'm not able to touch on all aspects of it. I think there are aspects that are working. It is daunting. I'm not going to give up. Our colleagues are not going to give up around the world. But the challenges are complex and unique in each place, and that's one of the reasons we try to really work in places for long periods of time so we can be trusted partners and employ local people, because you want them to have their own pride. In some places, people have been able to learn that ecotourism, for example, protecting the wildlife and providing for ecotourism, provides more positive economic impact than killing anything. So we're trying to see how do you help people to help wildlife.
I just want to ask Dr. Sami, you went to Saudi Arabia to get your training as a vet?
No. I born in Saudi Arabia.
Oh, you were born in Saudi Arabia.
It's complicated, but I will tell you. My mother from Egypt.
Yes,
My father is Jordanian.
yes.
My nationality is Palestinian. I born in Saudi Arabia.
Okay. Your soul is Palestinian. Okay, but you did your training in Saudi Arabia?
Yes. My certificate from there, and I went to Palestine in 1999.
So I was wondering, can you invite some of the students or newly graduate vets to come and help you in your zoo?
From Saudi Arabia?
Yeah.
Come on. I cannot go back to Saudi Arabia now.
No, but they would come to you.
Nobody can come.
Nobody can
Even
come?
my family.
Oh, okay.
If I want to see my mother, I have to go to Jordan to visit her. It's the law. You cannot remove it, change it.
Pass this down your aisle, please.
How helpful has the Israelis been in terms of continuing to support the zoo? And do you still have a relationship with the Jerusalem Zoo?
We have good relation with all zoos in Israel, but the Jerusalem Zoo help us a lot. Especially, you saw the manager is shy, and I have a good relation with this man. All our animals from Israel. It's not from outside, and we try now to bring the things which not available in Israel from another country. And we following the advice of Shai, don't be the garbage of Israeli zoos. So I hope we can do it, because till now we haven't any animal from outside. Even the giraffes, which they promised to give us.
One of the things that's very true throughout our profession is zoos are not in a competitive stance with one another. We are very collaborative and cooperative with one another. So it doesn't matter what country you're from. We're always willing to help one another. And Shai is a colleague that both of us know well, who is often, is always interested to help out. So that's something that's true of our profession, because we need one another to collaborate for conservation of species. We can't do it alone.
Can you tell us a little bit about the state of wildlife in Palestine now?
Okay. The reason of why I have the Palestinian Wildlife Medical Center, I was in Safari for meeting, Safari Ramat Gan. Then there was one man, he asked me one important question. Who care for your wildlife? You said we are Palestinian and we have Palestine. So who care for your wildlife animals? And really there was no answer because I don't know. Then he said, we do it. This is from Israel. He said, we take the sick animals from wild. We send it to our hospitals, then treat, return back again to the same place, not to Israel, to the same place in Palestine. Then I told him, I promise to do the same. In the future, you will see a Palestinian Wildlife Medical Center, and it will do its job. Then as you saw in the beginning of the film, there was empty rooms. There was nothing. And I was standing thinking what I have to do because there is camera and I don't have anything. How I will save this monkey, you know? Then the second shot, there was a lot of equipments. And this equipment's mostly from Jerusalem Zoo. Every time I go there, I never back alone. I mean, sorry, with empty. I should take something from them. And at the time when I go there, sometimes it was, you know, what you call this? I ask them. I am not. This is not my my passions. I mean, for me, I start to ask. I need I need this chair. I need this this machine. I need this. So I start step by step. So I tell them, for me, you know me. I am good man. I'm doing good things for my zoo, something like that. And he said, okay, what do you want? Oh, I need this. Oh, take it, take it. We know. In the end, you will take it. So I have now a surgery room. I have clinic. I have everything from them. Also, they took some equipments from what you call this Hadassah Hospital. This is Hadassah. I think you know Hadassah Hospital. This from human, but they give them the equipments which they not used. So I take it also from them. This is the good relation.
We're going to take one last question over here.
Just a technical question. Did the stadium ever get relocated outside the center of the city, and were you able to move into the space the sports facility occupied?
Did they ever manage to move the municipal stadium out and use that space for the zoo? As it so, you know, he's planning.
Actually, now the stadium is gone because it became back to be stadium. It was not not working for 10 years. And when I start to ask, I want the stadium for the zoo, they said, no, this is the red line. You cannot cross it. Then last year, it back stadium, and before 2 weeks ago, the first football game start. It was in this stadium. So I closed the line, so I cannot talk about it. Now there is bus station. It is in north land around the zoo. They give me about 1 hectare just for the children's zoo. So the giraffes have no place till now. I think I will find place for my giraffes, if I can.
Thank you both so much.
Thank you.